Good morning, everyone. This is Leslie Jouflas, and I'd like to thank StockCharts.com for inviting me back for another episode of your Daily Five. We've got 10 minutes to go through 5 charts that we're looking at, and today I'm going to be presenting some harmonic and classic trading patterns. These are all in the market right now. There are so many patterns on similar to what I'm showing you on so many charts in all different markets. So I hope you get a lot out of this today, and let's get started. Okay, last time I was on April 28th, I presented this pattern. This is AB equals CD. It's a Gartley sell pattern, and this pattern is still in play. What's interesting about this pattern is that we have really been going in a sideways range since early part of April to now we're in the early part of May. And this is indicative of lots of coiling types of patterns that I'm seeing right now on many, many charts. Here I've got drawn, first of all, I have this pattern drawn in the correct way. So those of you that know this pattern or are learning this pattern, you might want to take a screenshot, and this is the correct way to draw this pattern. But let's take a look at a couple of price levels and a couple of things. I've got a trend line drawn above where it says reassess above here. And if the market comes to the upside, I want to take a look at that time at the momentum that it does that with. We still have a lot of resistance on the upside above those levels to look at. So it's going to be important to see how it comes above that. If we break below where I have this dash trend line here where it says 0.786, the 0.786 is where we got the last move to the downside. It was just about a 200-point move to the downside, and now we're back sort of in the middle of this range. So below that trend line, and I believe we'll get some deeper testing down. Hopefully we'll be able to do some measurements from the A point at the bottom, which is the March lows on that chart. Now, one other thing I'd like to point out on this, if you take a look at where I have marked here the B and the C of this pattern, if we just look at the length of that correction, it's very similar to this correction when it got to this D point. The correction down is very similar in length, and this last correction is very similar in length as well. And so the next move to the downside will be important to watch to see if we stay within that same range or if we start to expand to the downside. That will give us some information. Okay, but we are close. We are close to getting out of these ranges. The other chart I want to update is advanced micro devices. We looked at this last time as well, and this was a stronger stock when the market was declining. And this did come back in and do a test into the area that we talked about. It's had a bounce here, but I have some other areas marked in if we do come down lower to watch with AMD. And you can see the yellow circles that I have in the dash blue line. Those are from the February 2020 lows, and that's also coming in right where this trend line is drawn from this inverse head and shoulder pattern. So this will be an area as well. And if we look down at our RSI, I have some areas marked in correlating with the prices, the February 2020 lows with that dash purple line. And we can see that it's been tested several times here. So if the price, what I'd want to watch on AMD, I'd want to watch the RSI. If the price comes down, are we still holding in this general area and still showing signs of strength for a possible bounce off of this area, or is the RSI weakening and telling us that we might see a further decline? So that's what I'm looking at right now with AMD. The transportation, this is the transportation index chart. This one also had an ABCD, a Gartley sell pattern, but this is a bit more complex pattern where it also has a 3 drive pattern, and I've marked that in with 1, 2, 3. these extensions from the 0.1 down up to the 0.2 is a 1.27 extension, and from 0.2 down to this low and back up is also a 1.27 extension. And these trend lines here are showing us that we're in a sort of a parallel channel right now. There are many stocks related to the transportation index that are doing these same types of patterns. And again, this is a matter of watching these trend lines to see if we get a break down. If we do get a breakdown, I would expect testing down into these lows, possibly these lows, and then transportation index, as everyone knows, has been hit very hard. We want to be watching if that index makes a new low. If we come to the upside, we just want to be watching at first the extension of this trend line here. But again, you can go in, go to StockCharts, and you can look at many individual stocks related to transportation with this type of a pattern. So here's another pattern, just JPMorgan, and we have another, because so many of the stocks and indexes have made this Gartley sell pattern. Here you can see this one got a deeper retracement here, and then we got another ABCD retracement pattern to the retracement pattern. So I've got a trend line drawn in, depending on what price does in the next day or two. If it bounces back up, we'll need to readjust this trend line. But interesting on JPMorgan is the scooter up here, which I really like this indicator that StockCharts has. Is a technical rank. And it's a relative strength metric, and it rates the strength against its peers. And we can see that compared with the RSI below is in a range and also turning to the downside. The failure points for more downside would be above these D points right here. But again, I do think that we have more testing to do to the downside with this financial. Here's this is one of my favorite patterns. This is Intel. Intel was showing a lot of strength at the March lows, and we can see that clearly on this chart by, look here, when it got down to these lows, very large bar up, and then another, down, more up. And we've got island reversals here. We've got strong gaps to the upside. Well, Intel came up in this blue dash triangle here that you see, came up to a 618 retracement. That's what I'm showing you here. And then this line across here, right at the 618, is the center of this current coil. So yet another coiling type pattern. I feel that we are, from other things I'm looking at, that we're going to be moving out of these ranges pretty soon. So we've been in these ranges again. This one started April, beginning of April, the entire month. We're into May now, but this pattern is a rectangle pattern, and this is what I call a money box pattern. That's my nickname for it, because eventually, out of a pattern like this, the price will make a decisive move either up or down, and you pull the money out of the box if you're trading it. So I've done some projections already on this pattern, and the high of the pattern, even though it says 61.78, the high is actually 62.13 on the high, 55.93 on the low. It just didn't quite catch the low prices on that. So we have a range of $6.20. So if it's an upside breakout, you add that to the high price, which gives us a projection of 68.33 on the high, which is a retest of the highs up here. And if it breaks down to the downside, that gives a projection of 49.73, and that's coming back and testing into these gap areas. The RSI is also in a range, so you would watch out to see if upside breakout, RSI is showing strength, or downside breakout, and that turns down with it as well. So these are my 5 charts for you this week. I hope you have a great week, and thanks for joining me.
Hey guys, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, if you did, give us a like down below, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial minds. We'll see you back here very soon. Happy charting, my friends.